This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel. Already, I invite you to hit the comment section down below because you've seen what the title is. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's discussion because it's a good one. Based on the history, right? Obviously, we're still awaiting official word from Bob Nicholson and the rest of the Edmonton Oilers organization on the fact that Ken Holland, as Ryan Rishaug, Darren Dreger, Elliot Friedman, anybody in the hockey world that has any clue about the Oilers or think they have a clue, says we're still awaiting word that Ken Holland is our next general manager. As Oilers Twitter, as the Oilers verse tears themselves apart over that, another key figure we're missing is a head coach. And, well, you know what? Thing is, we already have our head coach. That's what I'm going to try and put in your head for thought today. I'm not trying to say that he should be, he shouldn't be, he is or isn't. Ken Hitchcock is still with the Oilers organization. And guys, the one thing everybody kind of pushed when all of a sudden Bob Nicholson had Ken Holland lined up, all Ken Holland had to do is say yes to 5 years at $5 million per. Well, guess what? The first thing that I saw on Twitter regarding Bob Nicholson and Ken Holland was Hockey Canada Old Boys Club. Okay, that's fair. I mean, you do the math behind it, it's completely fair. However, there's another Hockey Canada Old Boys Club already kind of connection in the Oilers organization between Ken Hitchcock and Bob Nicholson. And I mean, to the main part, it's been ignored. But you look at the career of Ken Holland and the career of Ken Hitchcock with Hockey Canada as coaches, GMs, whatever their role may be, and you go back to a 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. Guys, I'm going to reminisce for a minute. I was 13 years old. I'm going to date myself, actually make myself appear a lot younger than I am, honestly, in a lot of your guys' eyes, but 13 years old, a magical run. I mean, you're just really starting to learn the impact of hockey on the international stage at that point. Small town kid seeing big guys go out there in the NHL and do their thing. I mean, Sidney Crosby had emerged as the talent of this generation. There were a couple old guys going for one last shot at glory. Guys, 2010 home country Olympics, it was unreal. And I mean, I remember watching game after game and being over at a friend's house for the final game, walking halfway, well, all the way across town to get to Buddy's place, getting a ride halfway across. And I mean, it was an unreal atmosphere, and the pandemonium of which erupted across the hockeyverse in Canada when we won gold in 2010. Oh, guys, I was just, woo, too much of a good time. But I can reminisce about that all I want, or we can sit here and discuss the fact that Ken Hitchcock was an associate coach in 2010. Just so happens in 2010, Mr. Ken Holland was an assistant general manager for the Olympic Games Team Canada. So you see where I'm going with that right there. You've got one of the best Canadian hockey stories of all time on the international Olympic stage, and you've got two guys, one who is all but official with the Oilers organization and one who was our former head coach last season and is now looking for a role within the organization. Well, all of a sudden, guys, put two and two together and you've got yourself some math on who just might be the bench boss behind the Oilers bench this year coming up. Well, I can say that, but I guess what you guys are looking for me more to address today is the fact that head coach of Team Canada how many times over, Mike Babcock, is staying in Toronto. That's obviously where I get this whole Ken Hitchcock train from. Everybody was jumping to the ships that Ken Holland's going to bring in Mike Babcock. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He's going to get out of the first round. Guys, seriously, man, I did not bite on that bait whatsoever because seriously, to jump on that just did not make sense for me. And I mean, fair to it if you thought it was going to happen. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But looking at it realistically, I think now that everybody can kind of calm down on the Mike Babcock thing, the most logical Oilers, I'm not saying the most logical choice overall, is Ken Hitchcock. The reason being is Ken Holland would bring in a guy who's got experience with him before. He's got experience with this Oilers team, and he's got a chance to be a part of the change that Ken Hitchcock tried to self-institute as only the head coach this past season. That's a tough go when you've got Peter Chiarelli undermining you. You had Keith Gretzky kind of for a while being just a puppet of the Old Boys Club until he made those couple of moves and won me over. And then you've got the Old Boys Club and Bob Nicholson. Oh my God, guys, we don't need to get into the mess that was 2018-2019. But for Ken Hitchcock to survive it as long as he did all the way through, and now have a general manager rumored officially, whatever the whole stance is at this point of Ken Holland coming to Edmonton, well, this guy's got, not once, I'm forgetting to mention something, because let's go to 2014. Should we go to 2014? Let's go. 2014 Olympic Games for Canada as well, that one in Russia. Well, guess what? Same exact thing took place. Associate coach at the 2014 Olympic Winter Games, winning the gold medal, was Ken Hitchcock. Next in the general manager's box, next in line, was, of course, Ken Holland in Detroit. Well, hold on right there. 2 times over. I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And you're not going to get me as simple as that, Oilers. It's too much of a big connection right there to sit there and say that to rule Ken Hitchcock out as head coach of the Oilers next season, at this point, after all but officially hiring Ken Holland, it would be absolutely ludicrous. With the news of Mike Babcock today from Kyle Dubas and everything combined, I would hedge probably a 10-1 bet, which would be the safest bet you could make in terms of losing the least money in Vegas, if we're talking hypothetical bets, on Ken Hitchcock being the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers starting next year as, not an interim, but as our full-time head coach. Obviously, yes, the Hockey Canada Old Boys Club realm thing of stuff right there with Bob Nicholson all makes sense in Ken Holland, but it's more than that, right? It's the fact that Ken Hitchcock has the experience with this team. Whether he has the trust of Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid, that's a topic of debate every single hour in the Oilers community. Obviously, I don't think Connor McDavid sets a career high in points, and Leon Draisaitl scores 50 goals if they don't have the trust of their coach. So let's not kid ourselves there. And then you've got him. He knows where this roster sits. He's a very valuable asset of building what he would need as a head coach and what he can succeed as with and about as a head coach of the Oilers going into next year as Ken Holland transitions into the full reins of the general manager, whatever else his titles are with the team, role, and then gets us going towards what should, without a doubt, under a few certain moves that are no-brainers, honestly, but harder to pull off than being no-brainers, a playoff team next year. I mean, we say that every year, but when you've got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you shouldn't be anything but. And that's as simple as I can make it right there. That's, oh man, if you're not a playoff team with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, it's a wonder why everybody thinks the Oilers fans are so toxic when obviously we know what we've got. That's the thing. People think the Oilers fans don't know what we've got in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Well, I kid you not. We absolutely 110% know. It's not the fact that we're toxic. It's the fact that we know we shouldn't be suckered into this same old crap poor routine every single year. And now that you've got Ken Holland and a Ken Hitchcock that I'm arguing knows what needs to be changed, you've got a chance to get it right. The Oilers always have a chance to get it right, find a way to butcher it, but it's a chance to get it right yet again. And for me, I'm just holding out hope that it'll go right. Now, the reason I say Ken Hitchcock is the man, obviously there's connection along the way, but also the fact that he not terribly coached the Oilers this year. If they would have given him a little bit more effort in a couple of games, the record would have indicated a very different finish. But it's just what the Oilers were, right? Peter Chiarelli zapped the roster A of morale, A of talent, A of B, and C of D of everything that a hockey team needs to succeed. And somehow, thankfully, we got some upstart play from Josh Curry, who got Milan Lucic going towards the end of the year. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins emerged. Now you put it all together, you get some pieces, you make some moves, and you've got yourself a team that can do something under Ken Hitchcock, under the guise and guidance of Ken Holland, as whatever the heck his full title will be when he's officially named, if he's officially named. Guys, I'm Tyson, this is Stolany TV. There's my points. Make of it what you will. Like I said, I invited you into the comments. Let's go. Let's discuss this. I'm fired up on this one today. Literally thought of this as I pulled into the driveway. So let's get going. I am up on out of here.